Radio check.
I can hear you.
All right.
This is Jen. I can hear you.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Will.
Hey Jen, are you in City Hall?
I am, just in case anybody shows up.
Yeah, no, sounds like no one showed up yet.
Nope.
That's good.
It's nasty out there.
Kayak down there, Jen?
What's that?
You kayak down there?
Yes. Swam. Yeah.
Man, it's crazy out.
And then Steve's going to be absent tonight. I think he had to go to the airport.
And Doug too. Mhm.
So wait, is that? Oh, we're waiting on Tina?
Yep, just Tina.
Okay.
Mhm. But we do have a quorum if we get whatever time we want to move forward.
Sounds good.
I'll go check my computer, make sure no one's emailed me asking for anything here. No, we're good.
I think we'll be live on YouTube. Right, Jen?
Yes, we will. We are.
Oh, there's Tina. Hi, Tina.
Am I late?
Nope.
Oh,
Right on time.
I had to go find that darn link. Stormy out there.
Ugh.
Crazy.
I think we've seen every flavor of weather possibly available in the last 48 hours.
For sure.
Okay. I guess are we ready whenever you're ready, Jen?
I am ready. Yep.
Okay. Just let me know when to go.
You can go. Yep.
Okay, great. All right. Well, let us call to order today's December 18th, 2025 meeting of the Urban Renewal Advisory Committee. It is 5:30 p.m. on a very rainy day, and we are all appearing remotely today. We are without Doug and without Steve today. That's okay. So going forward, Will, you have some kind words to say about Clint, who I'm sad is leaving.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we set aside some time for recognize Clint for his years of service on the committee. His current term is up at the end of this calendar year, and the agency board selected Lindsay Arvin to take his place next year. So we'll introduce her next time. But I just really wanted to thank Clint for his graciousness in passing the torch, and then also just recognize kind of what has gotten done over his tenure. He was appointed to fill a mid-cycle vacancy in 2019. So he was with us through all of the Heights streetscape, planning and implementation and adoption, through the whole COVID craziness, jurisdictional transfer of Oak Street to the city. He was there, when we increased the waterfront's maximum indebtedness to finish off the stormwater project in the waterfront, the creation of the West Side Urban Renewal District, groundbreaking of Mariposa Village, the acquisition of 1215 May Street for the roundabout, but is currently being used as a sober living house. And then also now getting us kicked off with the engineering of the Taylor Avenue and enhanced crosswalks in the Heights. So it's been, a really productive and active period that Clint's been serving on the advisory committee. And I just want to personally say that it's been a pleasure to have his contributions throughout the process. He's been, I think, just excellent communicator, and I always have appreciated the positive outlook and kind of forward-looking perspective that he has brought to the committee. So I just wanted to recognize him and thank him for all his volunteer work on the committee over the years.
Thank you, Will. It's been educational for me and valuable, and I have really appreciated having the opportunity to sit on the board, and I thank everyone else. And I'll continue to stay interested from the sidelines.
Please do, Clint. That's
Yeah,
great.
please come to the meetings and say hi every now and
I
again.
will. I will.
With your feedback, which is always appreciated.
And we have our usual thank you mug, Clint, that I was hoping to give you in person today. But I can drop that by Pine Street, or we have it for you at City Hall too.
That's very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, moving on, business from the audience. I don't think we have an audience today, so I'm guessing that's a no. Agenda additions or corrections?
None tonight?
None, okay. Approval of the meeting minutes. I personally did not notice anything that stuck out to me as needing correcting.
I didn't either, so I'll move to approve the minutes as presented.
Okay, we have a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Should we raise our virtual hands? Okay, great, thank you. Minutes approved. All right, and our regular business items, Will.
Yeah, thank you. Really big one today. We have a draft transfer agreement from negotiated with ODOT that I wanted to go over with the team. I have a PowerPoint presentation set up for this, so I'll share my screen. Great. So before I get into the deal points, I always like to center ourselves and kind of where we are in the process and history. And then I'll get into the deal points and then talk about where we go from here if we execute the agreement with ODOT. So first off, just all the way back to the beginning of what is a state highway and why are they highways and not local roads, and who controls them and why. State highways didn't exist before 1917. That's when the first 36 were identified. And before that, it was just a system of what were called market roads. And that's what OR 281 through the Heights originally was. So this is a view down 12th Street, right about where Pine Street Bakery is now, looking north, back when this was a market road and was an essential link between the Upper Valley and the city. And then we know how it is today. It's a thriving business district full of local residents and local businesses serving a completely different need, as to be expected over 100 years of change. So ODOT has a manual for transferring roads. It's, I think, several hundred pages, but it really boils down to the reason why a state highway should be a state highway is if it supports the statewide movement of goods and people, and if the state is needed to modernize and preserve it. So you can imagine if you were trying to do intercity commerce and you had a patchwork of different conditions and regulations and widths, and that just wouldn't work so the state wanted to make sure that there was a consistent road network um, for intercity commerce. And the reason for a road being a city road is if it primarily serves local traffic and is not an essential link to the highway system. So looking at how that fits with us today in the Heights, there's several more efficient truck routes now than through the Heights. So if you're anywhere on the east side of the Hood River, you're going to find your best access via OR 35. And then even if you're on the west side of the Hood River, you're either going to find Country Club Road, or even if you're starting out just south of the city limits of Hood River, your fastest route is on Frankton Road. It's not through the Heights. And so that explains why our traffic study for the Heights Streetscape Plan found that heavy truck traffic made up only 2.4% of the traffic volume through the Heights Business District. 97% of residential lots in Hood River are within a 1 mile radius of the Heights. So basically everyone. Kind of speaks to just the size of Hood River, but I still think it's a pretty impactful statistic. Heights is surrounded by community assets. Our only middle school, the elementary school, federally qualified health center, community college, grocery stores, local businesses, all serving the entire county, but really important to local residents specifically. And then I think another really key point to think about is the 12th Street overpass over Indian Creek is the singular roadway within the city of Hood River that connects the southern part of the city to the northern part of the city, and is along this route. And so I think we all know the state of condition of the roadway. It's been rated as either fair or poor by ODOT. Curbs are degrading. We need a full reconstruction of 12th Street. The roads are cracking and becoming what termed alligatored and scaling. And even if all that was improved and fully maintained, there's still no bicycle or transit infrastructure in the Heights. And so due to the condition and the importance, this has been an area of local concern and local initiative to improve for many years. So this is a heat map of comments from the Safe Routes to School survey. And you see it's dark red along the Heights, and the only place where it gets dark red within the city were the number of comments and concerns in this area. And to, the Heights Urban Renewal District itself was really a reaction to wanting to take control over what is primarily, a state highway for most of the spine of the district. So the Heights Urban Renewal District was an initiative of the Heights Business Association in 2011. So the district has outlived its association, the association that really started it. Pat McAllister and Jack Trumbull, who served on URAC for, I think, over a decade, were really instrumental in starting the district and then served for quite a while after that. But it really dates all the way back to 2011. 2018 is when we really started to actively plan and get to work getting into the details of the Heights. So in 2018, the city sponsored a project prioritization community event to start deciding what are the Heights projects that we want to get done. And simultaneously, there was a whole nother grassroots effort that resulted in the Streets Alive events, but then also flying in a traffic expert, Dan Burden, to do a walking tour of the Heights. So, both of these events and activities really crystallized that just doing the basic upgrades that were in the original Heights district plan were not going to be sufficient. I don't know if you can see there's from the 2018 picture here, you see parklets, two-way traffic, starred, check. So we really got the message then and there that we needed to take a much deeper look into how the Heights can be transformed. Led into the Heights Streetscape plan process. Now we're getting to more recent history, and I think everyone knows how much work and time and effort and the product that came out of that, which adopted in 2024 and then included into the Heights TSP in thereafter, and leading us to jurisdictional transfer. So getting back to those original reasons for why to have a state road versus a local road. So statewide movement of goods, no longer the case for OR 281. State better able to modernize and preserve. It hasn't modernized, hasn't preserved. It's in a state of disrepair. Local roadway, primary serves local traffic. It's about 97% local traffic, and it is no longer an essential link to the highway system with OR 35 and some other roads providing better access. So that led to applying to the Jurisdictional Transfer Advisory Committee. They were established in 2023 to accept and to prioritize jurisdictional transfers from ODOT to local entities. They recommended a $30 million transfer payment to the city for transfer of this roadway, and that recommendation was included in House Bill 2025, which failed in the 2025 legislative session, leaving us with only the option to do directly negotiated transfer agreement with ODOT. Without further ado, I'll get into the deal points. So the offer that's on the table right now is to transfer from Oak Street to Pacific Street, the OR 281 that runs through the Heights Business District. ODOT will retain those bookend intersections at Pacific and Oak, and that's important because they'll maintain responsibility for maintaining and operating those traffic signals. We'll receive a $1,335,000 and $200 for ADA ramps that we think that we can get to by a deadline of December 31st, 2028. So the ODOT is under a court consent decree, or it's a settlement agreement, that they have to replace all the ADA curb ramps along state highways by the end of 2032. And that's why you saw the curb ramps along Oak Street Oak Street and Cascade getting fixed last year. They're going to give us until December 31st, 2028, because them transferring to us does not relieve them of the obligation. So they want to have 3 years to come in and do the curb ramps if we don't do them. But the ones that we have said that we can get to under that time frame, they're going to give us planning level cost estimates for those ramps. So those ramps are in the map here on your right. It's a little over 20 ramps, and those ones overlap with the first 3 projects in the Heights Streetscape plan. And so the ones that we think we can get to. ODOT will retain responsibility for completing all the other ramps along the transferred roadway, and that's a little over 50 ramps. So we're not getting paid any money for those, but we also don't have to do them. They have to do them. We do have, conceptually, we've talked to ODOT about there being future contract amendments, where if we're able to get more ramps done or implement more of the streetscape quicker than we thought, amending this agreement as needed to get paid out for additional ADA ramps that we may be able to get to at whatever the planning level cost estimate for those ramps are at the future date. So not agreed to, but everyone understands that's in everyone's best interest to not put in ADA ramps where they're going to have to be ripped out and replaced, pretty quickly. And then what was just recently added, it's kind of the new development, is a $2.3 million payment, just direct payment compensation for taking over the roadway. That was sized based on ODOT maintenance estimates of what a grind and overlay would cost to do in the area. And that's also how the payment for Oak Street was estimated. It was based on a grind and overlay. The Heights needs far more than that amount of work. The state of good repair analysis that we commissioned from David Evans and Associates in 2024 estimated an accumulated deferred maintenance liability of $8.2 million in this area. So we're certainly taking on more of a liability than we're getting compensation for. But that being said, and then also we'll be charged $4,500 a year for them to operate and continue to operate and maintain the light at 12th and May. So not a slam dunk by any means, but we do think that this is the best deal that we're going to get from ODOT. You've probably heard some of the news about the funding challenges that they're facing. They're expecting a $300 million budget shortfall. And the reason for this is because gas tax has not kept up with inflation and does not automatically adjust for inflation. And a 6 cents per gallon gas tax that was recently approved has been referred to voters, and so will not go into effect. And from what I'm hearing, I guess gas taxes that go out to voters don't have a good track record of being passed. So ODOT, when before the 6 cent gas tax was increased, were saying that they were expecting over 400 layoffs. So I do think that we're really in a situation of not being able to get blood from a stone in this instance, and taking off my hat of just the city and just thinking of as a resident or as a taxpayer, getting this out of ODOT's hands and into the city's hands will mean that this work gets done more cheaply overall. It will be done quicker if we don't have to go through ODOT reviews and we don't have to pay for ODOT permitting. It's just more efficient from a system-wide perspective, even if the city is getting a little bit of the short end of the straw here. So with that said, if the city accepts this deal, here's what the next steps will be. So transfer documents will be finalized and prepared by the Oregon Department of Justice. That's the legal counsel for all state agencies. And we're expecting that they'll be ready for full execution in the late spring of next year. And then we'll get those payments immediately. Our goal would be to then move forward with the first 3 Height Street State projects, because we have to get those ADA curb ramps in before the December 31st, 2028 deadline. And then we'll continue to advocate for additional funding in every way that we can. The Jurisdictional Transfer Advisory Committee has reconvened, and I'm going to be presenting to them on February 3rd to hopefully have this transfer, even though it's in process, still included for additional funding. Not very likely given the state's financial condition. But transferring this roadway to the city does not bar us or cut off any access to any state grants or other sources of funds that we would have otherwise been able to apply for if it was under state jurisdiction. So we'll be continuing to look everywhere we can. And we'll be in a much better position to apply for grants because many grants, like from federal sources or other sources, want to see that the person who's applying for the money has control of the roadway. It's kind of a threshold question of, do you have authority to do what you're asking money to do? So we'll be kind of much better to take control of our own destiny that way. So looking at where this leaves us from a financial capacity perspective, with the ODOT payments, the ADA and the direct transfer compensation, along with available cash on hand, and then borrowing capacity, given our current tax increment revenue, I think we have about $7.5 million ready to deploy once we have control of this roadway. And that definitely gets us through the first three projects. We'd be targeting kind of the rest of 2026 to do full engineering and construction documents, going out to bid that winter, and then construction over the construction season in 2027, still staying ahead of that 2028 deadline. And then there's likely funds left over as well, not enough to do the roundabout, which is, could be up to $16 million. But we could either do some preliminary engineering for the roundabout, or we could decide to focus on the Pacific to Belmont bike ped connection along 12th if we wanted to do that. But that will be kind of a next year or the year after that decision for your act to tackle. Yeah, so that's kind of the long and short of it. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I'll just put in my 2 cents. It's a bummer that we're here, but I completely agree that this seems like the smart way to keep going, kind of thing. And maybe even if we've gotten through our part, ODOT could give us that letter of future control so that we could apply for that money that's even available earlier in 26. My only suggestion for a change is if we could not transfer between Montello and Oak Street. To me, it has nothing to do with the Heights plan. It has a few sort of surprises in it, I think. So it doesn't, we don't need to own it, right? It's not that the city wants to do something with it that ODOT is troubled with. It's just a piece of road. And if it's at all possible, I mean, I live near the corner of Sherman and 13th, and you can just sort of see like there's a spring under there or something's going on. I mean, it just looks like another raised sidewalk situation to me, and I'd rather us not be responsible for it if at all possible. So that's the only thing that I would ask that we could change.
Yeah, I'll take that comment and run that past Public Works and internally and see what we think. I know ODOT they might go for it, but I know they won't like it. They really appreciated sort of the logical boundaries of this to not create any sort of orphan stretches of highway and kind of have them be all, like I say, like just sort of readily understandable that you weren't going on like one parallel piece of road and then you didn't know when you were on local versus state.
I have a question about that. Actually, I thought of that same question, Mark, a while back, and it seemed to me, in my own logic, without asking anyone else's input, that could up the priority for that stretch of difficult passage in the winter months like today, to get that cleared up much faster than waiting for ODOT to find it 45th on their list to come to 13th on the slope. And that's why it stopped in my head from becoming a real question, because it seemed like that'll be a much higher priority city street than it was for ODOT to clear.
As far as snow removal
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And other than that, it's just a straight road with stripes, and it's still an arterial. It's not likely to get any more or less busy because of any of these changes, because it's at that point between the roundabout finished and the light, it's still the same number of traffic. Sorry.
I guess I thought the city was graveling it now.
Yeah, we'll have to take
Possible.
responsibility for that. We've had kind of a handshake agreement with ODOT for many years that they give us free gravel and we take care of all the plowing and graveling in the city. So ODOT rigs, they don't like pick up their blade when they come through down. Like they'll drive back and forth with their blade down, but they don't prioritize our work in the city at all already.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's been my experience that it's very low priority. They do get to it eventually, but
Mhm.
it can be awful sketchy for a day or two with all that traffic. And I expect when the roundabout's in, the traffic coming up the hill is going to have to slow a little bit more to proceed through the roundabout. So instead of going 20 or 25 over May, they're going to go 18, 12 miles an hour. And in the winter, that can be a tough uh, knoll to get over. But Mark, I agree. It's a significant, number of blocks down there between May and Oak, and yeah, I can see ODOT's point too.
Jeff, I saw your hand.
Well, how comfortable are we that ODOT's going to put in the improvements on 12th Street if they've got, what do you say, $300 million shortfall?
You talk about the ADA ramps?
Yeah.
Yeah, that will come ahead of everything else because they're under a settlement agreement, a legal court order that they have to. Yeah.
So you're comfortable that those will get in because that's a critical part of the Heights plan is that 12th Street section there.
Yeah, well, it won't be to our plan. That's the problem. We would actually be, I think, benefited if they don't get to us quickly because it would give us more time to realign where, the roadway conditions to be the final condition. Because right now, in some places, they're going to put in an ADA ramp and we might go in 3 years later and rip it out to put it in where we want it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was going to be one of my questions is how much, if any, much at all, does ODOT work with us in those sections for future plans?
Yeah, they're going to put them. They're going to put them where they are right now. But they do know.
As far as timing, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Ted Miller is the maintenance lead for our area of Region 1, and we're meeting with him next week. They're all very familiar with this, and they know to do these ADA ramps in the area very, very last to give us as much time as possible to do them ourselves.
Cool.
Along Taylor, the city would be installing the ADA ramps. It sounds like before December 31st, 2028. Is that 1.735 million that's coming from ODOT? It sounds like. Is that enough to actually cover the cost?
Not of the full project, but of the curb ramps, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, those are statewide averages for ODOT's costs, and so we have a cost advantage compared to ODOT just generally being locally delivered, and then also as far as like the ramps go, like that Montello to Oak Street one, like we left them the really hard, really expensive ones, and generally the ones that we took are the relatively flat, easy ones.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Makes sense.
So we're making every ADA ramp that we can take off their list, we make money on.
Oh, okay, great. I support this. Yeah, it's unfortunate that it leaves a lot of cost to us, but it seems like it's not going to get done, or it sounds like there's not going to be a better deal. So.
And I support it too, just for the record.
Okay, well, if there's no more questions, we have a section on our little recommended motion area that does anyone want to make an official motion? Tina?
Yeah, sure. I move the Urban Renewal Advisory Committee recommend the proposed transfer agreement of Oregon 281 with the Oregon Department of Transportation.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, raise your hand.
I'd like to just in discussion add
Yes.
that if ODOT was willing to keep Montello to Oak, I think it's and let us gravel it or them doing a better job. I mean, Clint's point is valid, but to avoid us having to fix some big problems that are in there. I think it would be better, but I certainly will vote yes. For
with
this.
the addition of that
Well,
side
just put
note.
I think it's not changing the motion. It's just being in the notes and
Mm-hmm.
trusting that will see if it's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. I think that's anything. Oh, items for members. Anyone? No? Okay.
I'll just say thank you one more time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you
It's
so
really
much.
been a pleasure to participate in this, and I'll continue to be involved. And I've learned a lot, and I've met a lot of great people in it. So thank you again.
Yeah, you're a great
Yeah.
voice for the Heights, Clint. So I hope you really do stay involved. So
We're staying in the Heights too.
that's good.
Oh, and Chair Hoffman, I did have just a couple administrator update items.
Okay, great. Go ahead. Oh, sorry,
Okay.
I missed that part.
Yeah, no problem. Just want to let you know that we applied for a $2 million housing infrastructure. All of these housing acronyms are messing me up. First up is the Housing Infrastructure Support Fund grant. And that was money to help continue study of Mount Adams, where we completed 10% designs and have the intersection control evaluation. And we have initial comments back from ODOT, but to continue in that back and forth with ODOT is going to continue to cost money. So the meter is kind of running with DKS, and we're also going to get charged by ODOT. So I put in another grant for that. Unfortunately, I just found out we did not get it. So we have a little bit more money and to continue like one more round of comments, and I'm going to be searching for additional funds. But just let you have an update on that. Another state housing grant, the Infrastructure Housing Finance Program. We're supporting Big River Community Land Trust with a $2 million application for that grant. We just turned it in yesterday. So I'll let you all know how that one progresses. Wanted to give you an update on the Moderate Income Revolving Loan Fund program. I think we discussed it at a prior meeting. The agency board accepted the advisory committee's recommendation to have the Urban Renewal Agency start up that grant program financed through the state and have the agency administer it on the city's behalf, with the agency receiving all the admin allocation that's allowed for in the grant program from the state. But you know that the Cascade Avenue Transportation Growth Management Grant that the City of Hood River Planning Department applied for is moving to vendor selection. So we're scoring and selecting vendors, and that's basically doing the Heights Streetscape plan, but for all of Cascade Avenue and adding in a land use component. So maybe zoning changes. So let you know that's moving forward, and I think the agency and the URAC are going to play an integral role in that project. So I want to keep it on your radar. And then lastly, if people are interested, I have a couple work in progress images of the Taylor Avenue designs that I didn't want to send out yet because they're still going under review, but if folks want to see them.
Sure.
Okay, share my screen. Great. So this is the current state. You know, we adjusted to not have dedicated protected two-way cycle track and instead do a shared use path, even where we because the right of way was narrower than expected. So that's what you're seeing presented here. All the dark green areas are stormwater management opportunities. And then one of the biggest changes just recently is over here on the west side. The Heights Streetscape concept plan had bicyclists crossing 13th Street at a diagonal and then just going right into just sharrows on the roadway at Taylor. We've worked out a way that we think it would be better if the shared use path extends, you know, another 20 feet after crossing 13th Street before then going out to Taylor, which is, a very low volume street. The interim condition over on 12th Street, the Pine to Taylor connection. So in the final condition, we'll have two-way protected cycle track going north-south on the east side of 12th Street. But that's not going to work until we switch the traffic configuration. So the interim condition for however long it takes us to get through the roundabout will be southbound bicycles staying on the west side of 12th Street and then crossing at Pine. Both the Taylor and the Pine intersections will have pedestrian bike operated rapid flashing beacons to help them make that crossing. And the bikes will be protected with jersey barriers on the west side. I've got a picture of what those look like. So it's kind of this condition right here, which can look, kind of rough, but I asked if they have to stay plain like that or not for any sort of safety reasons. And the MIG folks said no. So if we wanted to, I thought it might be maybe we can connect with Megan Ramey and have students paint them or something like that, like get them delivered to the middle school, have it be an art project before they get installed. So yeah, that's the current state of things. Still very much a work in progress, but happy to answer any questions or if you have any initial comments or concerns, I can pass those along.
So there would be loss of parking on both the east and west side of 12th?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think talking to those business owners well before we do this is probably I know a few of them, not counting Clint, that will have strong opinions.
I'll be happy to lose all our parking, and that's 6/10 of it or 7/10 of it right there. And if anyone wants to say, "Oh, we're losing 2 spots," I say, "Well, we're losing 8." So I'm happy to see it go.
Huh?
Yeah, great point, Mark. Yeah, so 30% designs are not final, but there really is no other way to help protect the bikes go north-south.
Right.
But we'll do a full presentation, public-facing presentation of this probably in February, March when the 30% designs are done, and they're still very much subject to input and change after that.
Sure. I mean, I like it. I just am thinking how Danny's gonna comment on it. So.
Good heads up. Yeah.
And the yoga studio or whatever, those folks.
Well, could you elaborate on there's no other alternatives on the jersey barriers?
Oh, well, we could certainly spend more money and install something that's like a permanent, but I don't think we want to do that for what's an interim condition. So jersey barriers are the most cost effective for something that can be installed and then easily removed.
So it's not a long term. They're not going to be there permanently or long term.
No. Let's see. I can get to I think I've got the Heights Streetscape plan here. Do I have the Heights Streetscape plan? So this is what was adopted in this is the final condition. So a few parking spaces would come back over on the west side, and then north-south would be would be paired together for the bikes eventually. But we can only do this once we take 12th down to a single lane, and we can't take 12th down to a single lane until we go two-way on 13th, and we can't go two-way on 13th until we build a roundabout.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do the little candlesticks like used, on the temporary sidewalk, are those just not considered safe enough instead of jersey barriers?
Yeah, we're gonna do candlesticks over on the east side, but where the bicycles are going contraflow to the road to vehicles, since they're going head on with the vehicles. the engineers were thinking the Jersey barriers was the correct amount of protection. Yeah. So not for prime time yet, but I just wanted, been working on this for months, so I wanted you to see some progress.
Great.
Exciting. Okay. No items for members. We've already covered that one. I think so. Unless there's anything else, we can adjourn our meeting at 6:12 today.
Well,
Thanks, Will.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Happy
Miss
holidays.
you.
Good night.
Bye.
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 Bye.